So last week, remember I told you rest up? I hope you did, because she's here. Reverend Dr. Suzi Schadle.
How you all doing on this celebration day? Good? Cool. Okay, I'm going to move up here and try not to deafen you by squelching the... So I'm going to go very... That's the slowest you'll ever see me move. Hey, you're out. Look at you. You escaped manatee. Last time I saw you, you were in manatee. Okay, who moved? You or me? Well, it's really wonderful to be here with you. It feels like coming home. I'm really privileged and happy to say that 3 years ago, I had just moved to Florida. I had just met Reverend Allen, although he says he had met me before, but you know, apparently I didn't recall that. And he happened to mention that the 2nd year anniversary was happening. And so I surprised him and showed up here on that 2nd year anniversary. So it feels really wonderful to be here now on the 5th anniversary, and how wonderful is that? It's a very cool time. So I'm just back from 3 months in California. I was doing an interim ministry at the Chico Center for Spiritual Living in Chico, California. Anybody know where that is? Oh! People in Chico don't even know where that is. It's north of Sacramento. So anyway, so as Jane said, the timing was perfect because I was just finishing up there when Alan called and said, hey, can you come and do here what you're doing there? And I said, sure, I would love to do that. So, you know what, I'm going to have you turn this mic down just a little bit because I'm probably making you deaf, right? No? Okay. A little bit louder? A little bit louder?
No.
Okay. We good?
Yeah.
We're good. Okay, good. So, who here is interested in transformation? Yeah. Okay. Great. That's good because that's what's going to be happening. Okay. So, who wants to change? A few less hands. Transformation somehow sounds better than change. I don't know, why is that? Because it's a bigger word? I don't know, but it sounds sexier, I guess. Transformation rather than change. But I've got a newsflash for you. Change is an inevitable part of life. In the Tao Te Ching, it says, resisting change is like holding your breath. If you do it long enough, you'll die. So just to demonstrate that, I'm going to ask this side of the room to hold your breath until the end of the service, and you guys watch and see if you want to join them. We'll see how long, going down one. Now, the Chinese are very clever folks. They have a symbol for change, which is made up of 2 characters. One is for crisis, and the other is opportunity. So we get to choose where we put our energy and attention, on crisis or opportunity. Because sometimes we think of a change as a crisis or an upset in some way. But we get to choose, if we want to put our energy and attention on the opportunity that change brings. It opens things up. It makes possibilities available. Now there's been a slight disruption in the force here at Suncoast with Reverend Allen's leaving. That does change things quite a bit. But if we're truly wise people, we will honor the past that Reverend Allen brought us through up to this moment. And we will acknowledge the loss of what was. It's important to do that. Sometimes we do sort of a bypass and we want to slip right by and pretend like nothing happened. But the reality is there are losses and there are things to let go of. And so we want to honor that. And it's very important that we complete the past, that we bless it and honor it and then let it go. Then stop hanging on to it and let it go. And so today we celebrate the 5th anniversary of Suncoast, which is really the close of the prequel if you will, the prequel that was Suncoast. And that really was Reverend Allen saying yes to Spirit's idea for a spiritual community. Reverend Allen said yes and began moving his feet in the direction of the fulfillment of that yes before any of you even heard of Suncoast Center for Spiritual Living. That was the prequel. And then he ushered it through with your help to this very moment today. And now we are called to be in the current episode. We are in the current episode in the now, right now. And it is being firmly in the now, in this current episode of Suncoast, that will enable us to leap into, very consciously and very intentionally, to create the sequel that is Suncoast Center for Spiritual Living. Now, I'm going to give you a little pointer, though, about making that leap from right where we are now into the sequel, into the future that is Suncoast. It's kind of like being on a trapeze. You know, have you watched those trapeze artists? They swing and they get this nice, smooth little swing going, right? And then they get this wild idea, like, I'm going to leap from this swing to that one over there. Yeah, and they're swinging and swinging. I'm just going to give you a little pointer, should you decide to ever try this yourself. Do not leap when the swings doesn't work very well, unless you're Superman. You want to make that leap when the swings are at their closest point. So you have some assurance that you actually do grab onto the new swing, because at some point, and that's kind of where we are, we're letting go of the swing that was the prequel, but we haven't yet grasped the swing that is the sequel. So we're in that current episode, the no man's land in between. Now, it's critical that we have a good ending with that prequel in order to have a good new beginning with the sequel. It's really important to close that and close it well and to honor it. Otherwise, we're destined to star in the movie Back to the Future, where we repeat the past in the future, where we look forward and we go, wow, this looks awfully familiar. It's an opportunity for it to look different and to be different, so that later we can open up to what it is that's wanting to birth itself through us, to open up to what's next, what's happening now. Change expert William Bridges teaches this. There can be any number of changes, but unless there are transitions, nothing will be different when the dust clears. Transitions begin with having to let go of something. There are endings and there are losses. What comes after the letting go is the neutral zone, or the current episode in which we find ourselves right now. Letting go so that we move into the neutral zone, the wilderness between the old reality and the new. And it's the best chance for creativity, renewal, and innovation, and when revitalization truly begins. People make the new beginning only if they have first made an ending and spent some time in the neutral zone, in the current episode. You know, too many of us worry about the past or the future and don't spend any time in the now, in the current episode, which is the only place we have any power to create. We cannot create the past. Already been done. Been there, done that. Can't create the future because we're not there yet. The only power we have is right now, in the current episode. And that being said, this is a very powerful and exciting time for Suncoast. We're moving into a space of unlimited creative possibilities. The sky is the limit. In fact, let's go beyond the sky, into the stratosphere. It's even unlimited beyond that. Because in the aftermath of letting go of the prequel comes the time of that creative wilderness between the old and the new, the neutral zone, the current episode that we're in. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help guide Suncoast through that creative neutral zone. So I'll be with you for the next 3 months or so. and we'll be looking at opportunities and playing with things and experimenting and exploring and saying, what are the possibilities calling to us? And sometimes we'll do some really exciting, fun things and say, yeah, let's keep that. And sometimes we'll go, yeah, let's not do that again. But then we'll know. We'll know. So we get to create Suncoast's greater yet to be, with vision and with intention and with wisdom and with playfulness. And we get to create out of design rather than by default or by repetition of the past. There may be some things we carry from the past, and there may be some that we don't. There may be some things we haven't even dreamed of yet that begin to show up and call to us. So the thing is to be open to the possibilities of the infinite co-creation with Spirit into this new territory. Brand new territory. It's almost like a rebirth in a way. Aristotle said that the best way to predict the future is to create it. I think that's pretty wise. It's like when you think about, why did I think of that? It's pretty simple. And it may sound simple, but it's not always easy. We have to be present and really be mindful. So really start to dream and think about, let your imagination run away with you. What will we create here at Suncoast Center for Spiritual Living? What will we create together? Let your imaginations run wild. For authentic community to be revealed, to unfold itself, and for your call as spiritual community to be fulfilled, we must give up that familiar past, which actually can hold us back from the creative future that's wanting to come through us. Angeles Arian wrote, "Every transition is a process of leaving and entering, inviting new experiences and possibilities into our lives. It is an opportunity to light a new path if we are willing to do the personal work necessary." That was an exciting quote, right up until the last part. If we are willing to do the personal work necessary. But you know what? It's good work. It's good work. We all deepen, grow, and expand individually and collectively when we're willing to do the personal work necessary to become more of who we are individually and collectively. But it's not, the work is not about problem solving. It's about getting really clear about who we are individually and as spiritual community. With abundant clarity, that's what will enable this community to draw to it a new permanent minister who is the perfect match for who you are. Because it's not up to the community to bend themselves into a pretzel in order to match some minister that pops along because they want to get out of the rain into the sun. This is not a good reason to hire somebody. What we want to do is be so abundantly clear about who you are as community and where it is that you're being called to go so that the perfect match shows up and here's what I envision. You remember those old commercials where the two lovers are running down the beach toward each other and it's in slow motion and they recognize the love of their lives. That's what it's going to be like when you call your new minister. You're going to be... Isn't that a great thing? Where's that violin player out there? So it really is about getting clear. Who have you come here to be, individually and collectively as community? And the changes that will take place are changes that will be called from the inside out. Change is always an inside-out job. Spirit changes us from within outward. There's first the inner change and then the outer expression of that change. So the inward development is far more important than the outer circumstances. So we're going to do inner work as well as outer work. Because, we need not be victims of the effect of our past. We can choose to be the cause of our intended future. That's what you'll learn in the workshop next week, as a matter of fact. When you learn how to do spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer, you learn how to be the cause of your intended future experience. So come to that workshop because that'll make my work a lot easier. So we're going to move forward in faith, and we're going to embrace the mystery of the unknown. We're going to be receptive to the void of no thingness. In other words, no thing exists except as we create it. We're not bound by precedents of the past. We move into the power of possibility. Imagine a blank canvas, and we have all the paints that we could possibly imagine we'd want. Ernest Holmes, the founder of our teaching, taught this: it is the very nature of the universe that there should be continual change and variation. Continual change, not just once in a while, but continual change and variation. Let us accept change, let us make the most of it and capitalize on it. Life can become a glorious adventure, increasingly filled with more of every good thing as we gradually or suddenly come to change our pattern of thinking so that it embraces more of those good things. That's what change can bring us. So this community is in the current episode of renewal and transformation to be more, to go deeper, to move beyond what our old comfort zones have allowed us. So we're going to stretch those comfort zones into the awkward zone. And then pretty soon the awkward zone becomes your new comfort zone. And then we keep stretching and keep stretching into infinite possibility. We're in this time of renewal and transformation to rediscover and to re-energize the passion and the purpose and the path and the promise that is Suncoast Center for Spiritual Living. To fully experience and express what it means to be a center for spiritual living. That's a way bigger thing than I think most of us think of it. We often think of the Center for Spiritual Living as the place we go on Sunday and we have a Sunday service experience here. It's only one aspect, one slice of the pie. Let your imagination start to run wild with you and start thinking about what does it mean to be a center for spiritual living. And the Sunday service is not one of the answers. That opens things up. And for you individually, what does it mean to be a center of spiritual living? What's that do to your life? What do you do on any given day as a center of spiritual living? You know, transformation is not about changing into someone that we're not. It's about changing from who we are not into becoming who we truly are. That's transformation. It's chipping away at all that is not your authentic beingness. Much as Michelangelo said when someone asked him, how did you carve that statue of David? He said, I just chipped away all that was not David. Chip away all that is not truly who you are. Chip away all that is not truly this spiritual community. So what we'll do in this next few months together is engage in a transformational construction process in developing the sequel that is Suncoast. And we'll start by laying your foundation, your community core values, which we've done some of that work here, but we'll revisit that and see, are these still true for us? You know, so that we're very clear what's most important in life to this spiritual community. And then we'll follow that by drafting your blueprints, catching Spirit's vision for the greater yet to be of Suncoast. And then we raise the frame and the walls by creating a plan and strategies and goals that help us to fulfill that vision based on those values. And then finally, the construction, the actual construction, the activities and the action steps and the human experience that bring it all to life and make it real in our current experience. And that's how we'll create the sequel. And this process of awakening and transformation gives us choices. We can either be reactive to what's going on, which means that we're pushed by pain and problems, which can be very motivating. I don't know about you, but pain and problems motivate the heck out of me. So they can get you off the dime, but they get tiresome after a while. The other choice we have is to be proactive and to be pulled by vision and possibilities. And that is exciting. That gives you energy. That pulls you into the vision itself. My friend Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith says every problem is a question wanting to ask itself. And every question is an answer wanting to be revealed. And every answer is an action wanting to be expressed in and through and as us. So there are no problems, really. There are only experiences and expressions. What was it?
I said there were only answers.
There are only answers, yes, there are only answers. So the whole value of a problem is to move us to the question and then to the answer and then to the full-out expression of that answer. And so in that sense, problems are really good things. Bring them on! You know? I mean, it's a whole different way to frame a problem. So we're called to awaken to and to say yes to Spirit's vision and call for us individually and as spiritual community. And catching Spirit's vision moves us beyond visualization and beyond personal agenda. It moves us into something greater than that. Because, you know, visualization is a good tool. Personal agenda is not such a great tool, usually. But both of them are based on the past. They're based on history. We have to have known something about what our personal agenda is or what we're visualizing in order to do it. Catching Spirit's vision enables us to catch something we've never dreamed of yet. We literally are catching the mind of Spirit and embodying and embracing it. And so when we catch Spirit's vision, the vision is already fully accomplished, complete, perfect, and whole in the mind of Spirit. What we do is we lift that thin veil between us and it so that it can become clear and revealed to us. And the vision has a clarity and power that activates infinite possibilities. It literally starts to draw us to those possibilities and harnesses the power and the resources of the universe in order to push us in that direction and to pull us in the direction of the vision. The vision that we catch from Spirit empowers and guides and directs and validates our decisions and our choices and our actions. The vision that we catch from Spirit is the integration of our talents and our values, our passions, our dreams, our service to the world. And catching Spirit's vision ignites purpose and meaning and commitment and, yes, fulfillment of those commitments, fulfillment of those possibilities. Joseph Campbell said that where your talents and your bliss meet the needs of the world, that is where your purpose lies and that is where Spirit wants you to be. Where your talents and your bliss meet the needs of the world, that is where your purpose lies. It's where Spirit wants you to be. We weren't put on this earth to struggle or be miserable. There's a news flash for you. I bet your grandparents didn't tell you that. Life is struggle. You know, catching and activating Spirit's vision for Suncoast, the sequel for Suncoast, requires some things of us. It requires the awareness to release our old BS, our old belief systems, those thoughts and feelings and behaviors, that old self. Let it go. It requires the awareness to clarify and to live by our core values, who you are, to prioritize clear intentions, what you want. It requires a willingness to embody a vivid inner picture in your mind and a passionate feeling in your soul of that vision and purpose, to literally experience it inwardly so that it can manifest outwardly. It requires a willingness to honestly see where you are and where you're going and how to get there, to actually create a plan. You know, some people think it's not very spiritual to have plans and goals and things. Hogwash. It's very spiritual. Because it works. You know, it's like spiritual mind treatment. It's like affirmative prayer. You're setting up a logical plan to experience what it is that you desire when we pray. And so this is all we're doing when we're setting goals and strategies and action steps. We're praying right into what it is that we intend, what it is that Spirit's calling us to. And so it also requires a willingness to create what I call stop doing, continue doing, and start doing lists. So we look at the past and we say, well, what should we stop doing that really, we just kept doing it because we always did it? And what should we continue doing because it's exciting and fabulous and it works? And what should we start doing that we never dreamed that we could? Do it. Do it. Nothing's stopping you. We're living in the neutral zone, folks. We're in the current episode. We can do whatever we want. We're the directors. We're the directors. We're the camera people. We're the everything. And this sequel that is Suncoast also requires a call to action. So we do the inner work, but there's also some outer work to be done. It requires a call to action to be co-creators and directors of your destiny, to activate Spirit's vision, not just catch it, but activate it. It requires a call to action to focus our attention, our thoughts, our feelings, our actions, and our desires on that future that we intend. And it requires a call to action to set goals and to take those small action steps all along the way, consistently. Tony Robbins, you know Tony Robbins, right? I bet you didn't know that he was at the rock bottom of his life, down and out, this close to being homeless when he walked into one of our churches in San Diego. Reverend Terry Cole Whitaker was the minister at the time. And he heard what she had to say and he woke up. And the rest, as they say, is history, and a pretty good one if I do say so myself. So he caught the message, but he didn't just catch it, he activated it, right? And he's helped others to activate it in their own lives. So Tony Robbins says that setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. That invisible possibility becomes visible in our human experience, in our human reality, by us taking the action. As we talked about earlier, everyone wants transformation, but not a whole lot of people want to change. Well, fasten your seatbelts, because you're going to be changing, whether you're on board or not. So hang on, tighten up, and if the oxygen mask falls down, be sure to put it on yourself first before you help someone else. So seatbelts on, oxygen masks ready. We're in for some changes. Albert Schweitzer, this guy was a brilliant guy. Albert Schweitzer said that one of the hardest things I've ever had to do was to follow the guidance I prayed for. I'm guessing I'm not the only one who can relate to that. But we pray and pray for guidance, and then it comes and goes, oh yeah, that's not what I wanted. Could you give me another answer? So often it is the hardest thing to act on Spirit's guidance and Spirit's vision and Spirit's wisdom. But to act on Spirit's wisdom, to act on that vision, to act on that inner guidance, which is Spirit speaking to you, giving you the directions, is wise. And from the ancient Greeks, we learned that wisdom is skill for living. That seems like a wise idea, to have skill for living. And the way we get it is to listen to that vision, that call of Spirit from within, and to actually pay attention to it, to follow the guidance that we prayed for. And it will not steer us wrong, I guarantee you, because I've tried it both ways. Listening and going the opposite way, listening and going the way of guidance. The way of guidance, much smoother sailing. It's like the two swings coming together instead of So Spirit's wisdom, Spirit's vision, Spirit's guidance invites us to that greater possibility in us. And it often expresses itself in imagination and creativity and inspiration. And again, Ernest Holmes writes, as we bring ourselves to a greater vision, we induce a greater concept and thereby demonstrate more in our experience. In this way, there is a continuous growth and unfoldment taking place. True imagination is not fanciful daydreaming, it is fire from heaven. And inspiration without application is hallucination. Ernest Holmes was a funny guy. Inspiration without application is hallucination. It doesn't just happen by itself. It's not spontaneous combustion. It requires us So Suncoast Sequel is not merely to make a retrofitted prequel, it's to move some things in radical different ways. It's the willingness to leave the familiar, the known, the seen behind, and to go for the unfamiliar, the unknown, the unseen, and to not look back, but to look forward. To look forward. Suncoast Sequel will require a willingness to go where we have not been before. Kind of like Buzz Lightyear, to infinity and beyond. You ready for that?
Yeah.
Got your seatbelts, got your oxygen mask, just in case, all right? So the neutral zone, the current episode, is a time to catch Spirit's vision. And it gives us permission to daydream and to imagine and to explore and to experiment on maybe how the Sunday service might flow differently, on how more people can be involved in collaborative leadership, about how the structure of the center might be modified to create optimal effectiveness and results, and how to live into our name, Center for Spiritual Living, to live that and be it. The Spirit is calling us into a fresh metamorphosis of the sequel that is Suncoast. Through the challenges and the transitions, Spirit's vision gives us presence and power. Feel that. Say that with presence and power. Kind of feels kind of good, doesn't it? I almost feel like I worked out this morning. Presence and power. But it requires action from us to bring it to life. You know, three frogs sat on a log. And all three, this is a very spiritual thing, Marley. 3 frogs sat on a log, and all 3 of them decided to jump. So how many are left on the log? Oh, you guys are smart. Yes, all 3 of them, because they decided, but none of them actually jumped. Movement requires action. We are the hands and feet of Spirit's vision, and it requires action in the form of an action plan that's empowered by new partnerships and shared vision and collaborative leadership. It requires community. You know, it takes a community to be a community. It's not something that the minister or the board or the volunteers create. Community is created by the community itself. And it is the community that sustains it and deepens it and expands it, grows it. I want you to contemplate this question. Not only what does it mean to be a center for spiritual living, what does it mean to be a center of spiritual living, but also, if I couldn't fail, how would I do Suncoast differently? Contemplate that question within yourselves. If we couldn't fail, if I couldn't fail, how might we do Suncoast differently in the sequel? Imagine and think outside the box, outside your normal scope of things. Color outside the lines. When was the last time a teacher told you to do that? Color outside the lines. Dream beyond any restrictive, imagined boundaries. Peek into the possibilities that is Suncoast's sequel. Explore, experiment, create. Because you are Suncoast. You are Suncoast strong. Blessings on your journey as Suncoast, the sequel. We are the ones that we have been waiting for. And so it is.